If it's shelter you want, you may have it, on one condition. Remove every needle from this beast before the sun sets on the 8th night. Succeed. You will be richly rewarded. The genie says, fail, and I make you my servant. The skin of the genie's throat is both dark and translucent. If blood did not flow beneath it, what did? Smoke? Shadow eternity? Do we have a bargain? Soraya glances at the panther. She cannot read its dark face, and perhaps she imagines pain behind the creases of its velvet muzzle. She followed the crow for shelter, and if she agrees, shelter she will have. But she imagines herself alone in a garden, her own flesh impaled, thick with the weight of 1,000 needles, and when she breathes her consent, she's only thinking of the panther. A flicker flame catches her eye. The genie's hands extend towards the palace and beyond the garden. A lacquered box, summoned by the genie, floats with a grace towards them. Soraya's breath sticks in her throat. The djinn has no fingers. Her palms stretch into stubs, all 10 different lengths, concealed before by the loose length of sleeves. Settles in the damp earth before Soraya's knees. Place the needles in this box, and the House of Night will care for you. She nods, and the genie vanishes in a curl of smoke. Rain drips down her cheeks. She stares, transfixed, at the air where the genie melted away. The cooing of doves reminds her of the garden, of the sleeping beast at her back. She turns. The gleam of the needles summons biles to the back of her throat. Who would do such a thing to a living creature? She reaches out to brush a needle that pierces the panther's shoulder, tentative, testing. She wraps her right hand lightly around the metal, as thick around as 2 fingers. She snatches her hand back at the bite. Thin lines, ruby as the crow's eyes, well up along her fingers. She looks at the countless needles dug into the beast, and all have sharp, uneven edges like knives. A false move would slice foolish flesh to bone. Her vision blurs with tears. 1 needle is all it would take to leave her hands like the genie's. Perhaps the genie herself tried and failed. Perhaps the genie knew this was an impossible task. Soraya turns to the panther's head, the only part of its body not bristling with lethal metal. Her left hand rises, reaches. Her fingertips brush the crown of the panther's head, stroking it gently. Its hide is softer than the brush of lips on an infant's downy cheek, black as dreamless sleep. 1 hot tear rolls free of her eye and joins the rain slipping down her face, but she sets her jaw. She reaches for the hem of her dress, muddied by the earth of the garden, and tears strips from it. Rough fabric bites as she wraps 1 strip around her tender sliced fingers and another around the first needle. She places rags to rags, holds her breath, and tugs. Muscles twitch and spasm beneath the velvet pelt as needles slide its out. Wet and slick as a knife through meat. A low sigh, and just as the wound left by the needle closes before Soraya's eyes, the needle in her hand shrinks until it is nothing but a harmless pin. The box. She reaches for the lacquered box, opens it with trembling fingers. It's lined with engraved silver. The ting of the blood-stained pin against silver melts into the rain. 1. Another. Hours pass. Many fellows find the first needle in the lacquered box. Many more still rise and fall with each of the panther's quiet sighs. The rain stops. She stops. The liquid pouring down her neck, soaking her dress, is now sweat. Doves with eyes of emerald as bright as ferns around her carry a basket full of bread and dates in their claws and sweet sherbet to drink. As she eats, another basket appears, laden with clean strips of cotton. She needs them later when her hands slip and steel sings as it slides through her flesh. But for the beat of the dove's wings and the burbling fountain, the garden is quiet. She begins to talk, to fill silence and time, to distract herself from bleeding palms. She tells the panther stories her mother told her long ago, and that then she poured into her patient stone. Stories of faraway lands and strange goddesses, of poisoned flowers and cursed princesses, of dives and wind-whipped seas, of the soft darkness where lovers reunite. And the shadows in the garden lengthen, the gray light fades. Exhaustion drapes over her like a leaden cloak. She lies on her side, on the soft, cool earth next to the panther, looking up through the crown of the mountain at the sky. Clouds clear, stars wink. In sleep she wakes on her feet and breathes deep, bright cold night. The world is silky silver dunes drowning in starlight. Her eyes widen as constellations and their coal-black raiment descend and surround her. From nowhere a voice. Who are you? The note echoes in her rib cage. The memory of the door vanishing beneath her palm flashes in her mind's eye. Come. That voice. In dreams. It is smoky in timbre, sensuous. Her lips are bare of words. Who is she? She's a girl without a mother. A girl without a home. Swallowed by a desert. A girl who followed a crow. These are not answers. What is your name? No one has asked her in years. Surprised, drips the answer to her lips. Soraya. It feels foreign on her tongue, the wrong shape, as one's own name always does. Soraya, the voice says, a rumble softer than thunder. Her marrow sings at the note. Who are you? I am the night. The voices in the stars in her bones, echoing from every corner of the heavens beyond. I am called Parvis, the victor, for like my mother time, I rise triumphant over every sunset, my stars, the banner of my victory. Why am I here? She trembles like bare branches in a gentle wind, but she's not afraid. Perhaps a wiser girl might be, but the stars are as close to her face as low-hanging fruit, gleaming gems and plush velvet night. Wonder blooms wide in her chest. There is no room for fear. Your hands are bleeding. She glances down, haphazardly wrapped rags. Starlight illuminates crusted, blackening blood. Yes. Why? It is a long story, like the ones you were telling earlier. Though she does not raise her eyes from her palms, she sees the garden in its wild, overgrown splendor. There is no panther. Instead, her gaze falls on a young man unconscious, lying on his back at the base of the fountain. His hair is the blue-black that cloaks constellations after moonset. His complexion pallid beneath dark skin, and thousands of long gleaming needles pierce his white shirt, pierce his cotton trousers, pierce his body. The vision fades and she whirls around, searching silver dunes for either panther or man, but she is alone in the dark, alone with the voice of the night. No, she breathes, not like those stories at all. How so? I don't know how this one ends. A breeze slips beneath her hair and tickles her neck, light as a laugh. Hold out your hands, Soraya of 1,000 stories. Heart pounding, she obeys, and before her eyes, the rags unfurl on their own. That breeze leaves cool kisses on her palms as crisscrossing red cuts knit into fine white lines. I will let you rest.